Have you ever wanted or needed a carnivorous flower mini? If so, this video is going to be for you. This is going to be Dungeons & Dragons crafting custom miniatures carnivorous flowers. Hi guys, I'm DM Dunn, and today I'm going to show you how you can make your own custom mini for a creature that I haven't seen anybody else make in plastic yet. So this will be kind of fun. So carnivorous flowers are going to be pretty neat. And I've seen them in a couple of different modules, as well as, of course, you can throw them into your homebrews as well. So a couple of things that I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to start off with some good old-fashioned pistachios. So get to crunching into eating and save the shells. And once you're done with your shells, you're going to want to make sure you clean it out. There's going to be a little bit maybe of like that interior skin that's in there. So you're going to get something and scrape it out so it's nice and clean. And then you're going to want to paint both of these sides, white. You're going to prime them with white. Now, the challenge with white is it's going to take more paint, more layers, more applications in order for you to get the vibrant colors that you want. However, I find this to be better than trying to do black because I'm not looking for big shadows. I'm looking for more like bright colors. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. I'm going to do this process and then cut it into here. And then I'll meet you here after I get those primed. And then we're also going to paint them. I'm going to use my airbrush because I have it. It's going to be easier. I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm going to start in the center with the darkest color, and then work my way out to a little bit of a lighter color. And then on the very tips, I'm going to do like a brighter pink. So I'm going to start with a dark red, a medium red, and then the pink on the outside. So as soon as I get all of that done, I'll come back and I'll meet you guys right here. Okay guys, so now we're back. So now we've got our pistachios glued together in sets of 3, and we've got them obviously primed, and now we've got them painted. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use some fake flowers that I got at the Dollar Tree. And so I've got a big variety, but today I'm just going to focus on this one. And so what I'm going to do, as you can see here, I've stripped off one of them. And you're going to be able to get all of the different petals off, as well as some like little green parts that go in between them. And you're even going to be able to use the stem. The stem bends, which is good because we're going to want to bend it into a little bit of a curve for us. What I'm also going to do is I want to put something bright and pretty in the middle as kind of like a trap. Most flowers have something to draw, like bugs or victims into it. So I just got an assortment of beads, and I'm going to use this one because it looks kind of pearl-esque, and that's what we're going to use for that. And I got my hot glue gun here to get warmed up and ready. And all we're going to do is we're just going to find, let's go with this one here, and we're going to do a little blob of hot glue into the center, and then we're going to drop our pearl. I'm doing it to where the whole of this bead is going sideways so that the human players are less likely to notice it. Taking off the wisps. And so now we've got a little bead that's going to look like a pearl. It's going to hopefully draw them in there to want to get it. And then you're going to take one of our our fake flowers, and we're going to want to glue those together so that it has some extra leaves on there as well, and to kind of help hold that together. I'm going to use one of the green parts that came with it. It's come apart now that I've torn it off the stem, and I'm going to use a piece of the stem. So I'm going to cut this stem to 1 inch long, roughly. And so now I've got this piece of wire that I've just cut. And this is obviously too big for this to be in place, which is why we're going to be using the hot glue. And then we're going to stick this all together in this big mess. All right. All right, so now that is together. We're going to put a big blob of glue on this other side so that we can stick our flower petals on the other side. And just kind of situate it like so. And so now we've got something that looks like that. Okay? Pretty easy. Now I'm going to make a base for it. And so what I did is I got some of my pink foam and I cut 1-inch squares. I did use the Proxxon cutter to make it easier for me. If you don't have a Proxxon cutter, you can just use a straight edge knife as well, and you can cut it that way also. So then I cut it down to 1/4 inches thick as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these washers, and these are 1-inch washers because I like to use a 1-inch grid. And then we're going to affix it to the 1-inch square piece of foam that I'm going to be using as the base. And the reason I want to do this is I want this to be the weight, the heaviness on the bottom. When I put it on the table, the washer will be on the bottom. Now you do not want to use the Gorilla Grip glue because this glue will actually just eat the foam. So instead, you're going to want to use some of the tacky glue. You can use a regular white glue as well, school glue, but the tacky glue just works a little bit better. Now when you're using this glue or the other white glue, it does take longer for it to dry, obviously, than these other glues, so just be cognizant of that. Now once I have these glued on, then they are going to look like so. And then what I did is I went back to my Proxxon with the metal already glued on, and then I was able to just use the hot wire to just cut around. And again, you can do this with the knife if you want it to be round as well. So your choice, if you want them to be squares or round, it's up to you, and you can do it whichever way you prefer, but I want to go with the round, and so that's what I did there. Now, just going to need something to kind of poke a hole in the middle so that I can start to get that started. And got a little hole started there. And actually, before I send that in there, I'm going to take my needle nose pliers and I'm going to grab it from the bottom of the flower, and then just give it a little bit of a bend so that when it's stuck down, it's leaning forward as if a player is walking, or one of the player's minis, the characters, are walking by, it's kind of facing them versus facing straight up into the sky. So now that we've got that little bend in there, we'll be able to pop it in just like that. And so now we've got that ready to go. So that's how that's going to work. Okay, so now you can decorate the base how you want it to be, and you've got this really cool, this is what I like to call the before, and then I make a second one with the after. So this is before it gets angry and starts to attack them, and then the after, we're going to put some teeth on it. So we did kind of the very similar concept here. However, now we are also starting to add some of these teeth. And all these teeth are either toothpicks or some barbecue skewers, where you're just going to cut off the tip and you're just going to glue these on as you see fit. So let's do a couple of these so you can see it. So we're just, probably don't even need to squeeze the hot glue. You can just kind of pull it right off of the tip if it's already hot. And then just apply it to the edge. Up. And if you're like me, that took too long, so it's dried off. The good thing is, you can just pull that dried off hot glue off really quickly and easily. And then try again. And we're just going to set it on the edge like that. And then we can pull these wisps off. And then we'll do another one on the edge. And what's nice about these is you can paint them whatever color you want. They don't have to be like bone white, because it's a plant, so maybe it doesn't have bones. Maybe you make it green like it was a thorn, like on a rose bush. But you can go back in afterwards and pick whichever color you want that to be when you put that on. Boom. And so a couple of those like that. And so when you're on your table, you can switch between the good ones. Maybe you make the pearl a trigger. Once they try to take the pearl, then the flower, all the teeth come out and they start to attack, and now they're in combat. Now, as I've told you guys before, the nice thing about these monsters is if it's already in a module, it's going to tell you what stats to use. But if you're just making up a homebrew, instead of creating all the stats from scratch, just pick a monster that's already in the monster manual and just use the stats from here and call it that. And I don't really want to call it by its name, because if you ask 10 people how to pronounce this, they'll tell you 10 different ways. But the Atua is a good one to use for the carnivorous flower, because you can use the tentacle attacks as vines that are attacking as well, and of course the bite with our teeth that we created, so it has a bite and a multi-attack with the vines that it has as well too. So there you go. And if this is too powerful, you can dial it down. If it's not powerful enough, you can dial it up. Just totally up to you. But this is, like I said, a really great way to get yourself a custom mini that you can't buy at the store. And when you put this kind of effort into putting stuff on your game table, usually your players are going to appreciate it as well too. Not to mention the oohs and ahs are pretty cool. So guys, thank you so much for your support. And if you want to help us out, currently we do have a Kickstarter going on for some Fireball dice jars. So please check it out. I'll put some links in the doobly-doo below, as Matt Colville would call it, a doobly-doo. But also we have a Patreon. So please go ahead and sign up for our Patreon. It does help us out very, very much. We'll also put some links to anything you need to get from Amazon, like the Monster Manual and things like that. If you do us a favor and hit our Amazon affiliate link, it really helps us out as well. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help us out as well. So guys, thank you so much. And until next time, have more D&D fun with DM Done.